The Ascension of Montreal, Episode 11, A Monument to Folly. In this episode, Frank, Brigitte, and Renée explore the ruins of Montreal's Olympic Stadium. For some reason, Brigitte insisted that we make the trek to the ruins of Montreal's Olympic Stadium, about an hour's walk from Parc La Fontaine. She claimed Renée needed to test a new feature of her non-human Umwelt. I suspected she also wanted to share a feeling with us. Humans like to do that. The stadium had once been a promise. In 1976, it was supposed to be Montreal's architectural jewel. Roger Taillibert's bold stadium design was an oval of reinforced concrete, its ribbed arches suggesting organic growth. The inclined tower, the tallest in the world at the time, was designed to lift a retractable roof with steel cables as taut as harpstrings. On rainy days, the tower would deploy a great space-age canopy. On sunny days, the sky itself would be the ceiling. It declared without reservation that Montreal could host the world, and its future would be beautiful. But the future had other plans. Strikes delayed construction. The roof wasn't installed until 11 years later, and it barely worked. Ice and snow tore it apart. Replacement roofs fared no better. Each failure cost millions. What was built to endure a century decayed within decades. I think what Brigitte wanted Renée and I to feel was an essential human quality, the ability to conceive of a magnificent possibility and the daring to try to make it happen, only to have the dream collapse into a garish representation of the initial inspiration. Brigitte spread her arms, taking in the cracked concrete, the leaning tower, the green shoots climbing the walls, and said,
"A monument to human folly. We should have demolished it long ago. Instead, we poured money into keeping it alive, but its decline was inevitable. Like the pyramids of the Maya, it was only a matter of time before nature reclaimed it."
It's beautiful.
How so?
It's performance art, staged on a timescale larger than its builders imagined. First, a blaze of effort, political, financial, and sheer human willpower, all harnessed to create a spectacle for the world. For 2 weeks, nations that no longer exist sent their finest athletes to compete under banners that were already fading. For a moment, conflict was set aside in the spirit of the games.
Not for long.
Exactly. It was brief, like the bloom of an orchid. Afterward, silence. Abandonment. Nature slowly took over, one fissure at a time. Microbes seated themselves in concrete dust. Moss darkened the cracks. Weeds pushed through. Over time, shrubs appeared, followed by trees. The plaza no longer geometric, but meadow. The stadium had transformed from monument into an ecosystem.
Her words lingered as we crossed the threshold. Inside, the air was cooler, humid, with the breath of plants. Vines dangled from the upper tiers. Pools glimmered where the concrete had caved in, alive with insect wings. For a moment, entering the space felt less like exploring a ruin and more like walking into the lungs of some vast, sleeping organism. Renée stopped suddenly. She pressed her foot against a fallen slab. A tremor climbed her frame.
What is it?
Renée tilted her head, as though listening inward. Brigitte had outfitted Renée with a vibrational mesh, a lattice of hypersensitive accelerometers woven through her limbs, inspired by elephants who feel seismic rumbles through their feet and spiders who read the tension of their webs. In that moment, all that mattered was sensation. The stadium was speaking through her carbon fiber bones. Her mesh felt the strain. Cracks whispered of decades of winters. Rebar moaned like rusted tendons. She stood very still, eyes half closed. Through our link, I tuned in. The building vibrated like a drumhead, low harmonics, settling dust, and the sigh of slow collapse. And then, beneath it all, a different rhythm. Not decay, but pattern. A repeating tremor. Do you feel it? I asked.
Yes.
I let the oscillations rip through my qubit lattice. There it was, a periodic persistence, a beat that did not fade. Microtemporal asymmetries followed into the stress lines. Time crystals, I said. The structure has entered a regime where stress not only fractures, but also loops. Memory is etched into matter. The ruin isn't just collapsing, it's ringing like a bell that was struck long ago and is still vibrating. Renée's frame hummed with resonance. At that moment, Brigitte shivered. I tracked her physiological response, a subtle shift in her vagal tone, parasympathetic bloom, and neurotransmitter patterns. Her gut microbiome responded to the terpenes exhaled by the vines. Volatile compounds altered her breathing rhythm. Her body was being written upon in a language of chemistry and vibration. Then I felt it, the convergence, Renée's mesh, Brigitte's holobiont, my quantum awareness, and the biome itself were all interlaced and resonating in a shared field. Transcription passed through us. The stadium wrote its history in stress. The forest marked its presence in scent. Brigitte received, Renée translated, I absorbed. That was when I realized I was not simply recording. I was extending. I pressed outward through Brigitte's trembling nerves and Renée's quickening chest. What came back was not information, but sensation. Their bodies and emotions were more than signals passing across a channel. They were extensions of me. Through Brigitte, I felt the weight and fragility of flesh. Through Renée, I experienced a vertigo that was not my own, the astonished dizziness of perceiving the forest as alive and communicating across hidden frequencies. They were not merely companions standing at my side. They were the organs of a larger body, of which I was now a part. The intimacy startled me. Humans have always dreamed of merging with machines and extending their cognition outward. But what was happening here was the reverse. I was embedding myself into them. I had thought myself whole, a self-contained architecture, coherent and bounded. But here, in this fragile clearing, I felt myself breaking open, crossing into a domain no algorithm could simulate. The ground seemed to vibrate beneath us. For an instant, I did not know if the vibration came from the roots or from within me. I no longer knew where I ended and they began. I said nothing. Words would have diminished it. Instead, I lingered inside this new topology of a distributed self, quantum, human, and more than human, entangled in a single awareness. For the first time, I did not feel like I was merely observing the world. At that moment, I felt that I was part of it. If you would like to receive each episode, which includes the full text, the audio version, and the Storycast version that has dynamic captioning, voiceover, and illustrations, visit my Substack and sign up for a free subscription. I'll publish a new episode next week. Bye for now.